ఇంటర్మీడియట్ విద్యారంగంలో అగ్రగామి మన ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్ ఎడ్యుకేషన్ ఇన్స్టిట్యూషన్. ఐఐటి, జేఈఈ అయినా, నీట్ అయినా తిరుగులేని విద్యా సంస్థ ఎన్ఎస్ఆర్ ఇంపల్స్.
Yes, next, after completing the power stroke, definitely after completing the power stroke, this head of the myosin is bent to back. Definitely, before the power stroke, head of the myosin is bends to forward. Like this, before the power stroke, head of the myosin is bends to forward. But during the power stroke, head of the myosin is becomes straight and forcefully pull this thin filament towards the H zone. By that way, head of the myosin is finally bends to the back. After the power stroke, definitely head of the myosin is bends to back. Before the power stroke, head of the myosin is bends to forward. But during the power stroke, head of the myosin is forcefully pushes the thin filament towards the H zone. By that way, head of the myosin is bent to back. So definitely, single power stroke is not able to pull entire length of the thin filament up to the H zone. Single power stroke is not able to pull the entire length of the thin filament up to the H zone. Repeated and repeated power strokes have to be operated. Repeated and repeated power strokes have to be operated to pull complete length of the thin filament up to the H zone. So that only, definitely whenever the head of the myosin perform the power stroke, after completing the power stroke, this head of the myosin is bent to back. So that only to perform another power stroke, at first it detaches from the active site. At first it detaches to active site. Later it have to be moved towards its original position. Later it have to be again attaches to the another active site. Later that have to be perform the new power stroke. So in that way, definitely after the end of the power stroke, what is the position of the head of the myosin? That is bent to backward. After completing the power stroke, this head of the myosin is bent to back. So that only to perform the another power stroke, at first it have to be detaches from the active site. Later it have to be moved towards its original position. That is said to be as the recovery stroke. Next step in the mechanism of the muscle contraction is the recovery stroke. Next step is the recovery stroke. Next step is the recovery stroke in the muscle contraction. What is the recovery stroke means? After completing the first power stroke, to perform the another power stroke, definitely at first the head of the myosin have to be detaches from the active site. Later that have to be moved towards its original position. That is said to be as the recovery stroke. Then what are the steps which may be occurs after power stroke before recovery stroke in the head of the myosin? What are the changes which have to be operated to occur the recovery stroke successfully after power stroke? Means at first ADP released to out from head of myosin. Definitely from the head of the myosin, before the power stroke only what is released here? PI gets only released from the head of the myosin before the power stroke. But still now ADP is as easily present in the head of the myosin. So that only after completing the power stroke, ADP gets released to the out from the head of the myosin. Later, new ATP is attached. New ATP is attached to head of myosin. Definitely to occur the recovery stroke successfully, what are the events which have to be taken place in the head of the myosin after completing the power stroke means, at first this head of the myosin have to be detached from the active site, that is said to be as the brokening of the cross bridge. Brokening of cross bridge. Attachment of the head of the myosin with the active site is the formation of the cross bridge. Detachment of the head of the myosin from the active site is said to be as the brokening of cross bridge. To occur the brokening of the cross bridge, to successfully detach the head of the myosin from the active site after power stroke, what are the events which have to be taken place in the head of the myosin means, at first from the head of the myosin, ADP have to be released to the out, new ATP have to be attached to the head of the myosin. In the presence of the new ATP, head of the myosin is detached from the active site, that is said to be as the cross bridge brokening. Later, after detaching from the active site, head of the myosin is moved to its original position, that is said to be as the recovery stroke. That is said to be as the recovery stroke. Means here, again head of the myosin is reaches to its original position like this, that is said to be as the recovery stroke. Again, after recovery stroke, again whatever the ATP which is present in the head of the myosin is hydrolyzed into ADP plus PI. Again, PI is again head of the myosin is becomes elongated. Again, head of the myosin is attached to the active site, which is present to behind of the first active site. Definitely during the second time, this head of the myosin is attached to the neighboring active site to the first one. During the second time also, this head of the myosin is not attached to the first active site. During the second time to perform the second power stroke, this head of the myosin is attached to the active site, attaches to the neighboring active site to first. Means definitely after recovery stroke, this head of the myosin, in the head of the myosin again whatever the ATP which is present, that is hydrolyzed into ADP plus PI. Again, head of the myosin is becomes elongated. Again, head of the myosin is attached to the neighboring active site, which is present to the first active site, which is present neighbor to the first active site. Again, this head of the myosin is combines with this neighboring active site to first. Again, cross bridge formation is taken place. Again, from the head of the myosin, PI is releases. Again, by using that kind of the PI, this head of the myosin forcefully pull thin filament towards the H zone, means again power stroke is operated. Like that way, repeated and repeated power strokes and recovery strokes have to be operated until this entire length of the thin filament is pulled up to the H zone. By this repeated and repeated power and recovery strokes, finally both sides of the thin filaments are pulled up to the H zone. This kind of the pulling of the thin filaments towards the H zone is occurs from both sides also. Pulling of the H zones towards the, pulling of the Z lines, towards the H zone is occurs from the both sides also. means on either side of the H zone, this power strokes are going on until this both the sides of the thin filaments are moves towards the H zone. In that way, due to the repeated and repeated power strokes and recovery strokes, finally this side of the thin filament is pulled up to the H zone, this side of H zone, this side of the thin filament is pulled up to the this side of H zone. During the pulling of thin filaments, towards the H zone, Z lines also gets moves towards the H zone. Z lines also moves towards the H zone. In that way, whenever the both sides of the thin filaments are finally touches to H zone, then we can say muscle is in contracted state. Whenever the both sides of the thin filaments are touches to the H zone, whenever the both sides of the thin filaments are completely touches to the both sides of the H zone, then we can say muscle is in contracted state. So definitely during the muscle contraction, what are the changes which are occurs in the muscle? What are the changes which are occurs in the muscle means changes occurred during muscle contraction. What are the changes which are occurs in muscle during the muscle contraction means first I band length. I band length is decreases. Length of the I band is decreases because both the sides of the Z lines are moves towards the H zone. Both the sides of the Z lines are pulled towards the H zone along with the thin filament. So that only I band length is decreases. But A band length is same, because definitely only thin filaments are moves over the head of the myosin towards the H zone. Thin filaments are moves or pulled over the head of the myosin towards the H zone. So that only this A band length is never gets changes. Definitely A band length is remains the same, because here over the head of the myosin only thin filaments are pulled towards the H zone. So that only A band length is remains the same. Again H zone becomes narrow. H zone becomes narrow because whenever this thin filament forcefully pushes this outer surface of the H zone, definitely this outer surface of the membrane of the H zone is moves towards the inner. In this side also, if this thin filament forcefully pushes this outer membrane of the H zone, definitely this two sides of the H zone membranes are moves towards the M line. So that only definitely width of the H zone is becomes narrow. So that only H zone becomes narrow. Definitely whenever both the sides of the thin filaments are forcefully touches to outer membrane of the H zone, definitely outer membrane of the H zone are moves towards the M line. By that way, overall width of the H zone is becomes a decrease. That is said to be as the H zone becomes narrow. But original length of thin and thick filament. Thin and thick filament remains same. Original length of the thin and thick filament is never gets decreases. Original length of the thin and thick filament is always remains the same, because just assume this is the thin filament, these are the thin filaments. Only thin filaments are slides over the thick filament towards the H zone in A band. Only thin filaments are moves over the head of the myosins in thick band or A band towards the H zone. So that only original length of that kind of the thin and thin filament is not gets changes, that is remains the same. Just assume these are the thin filament. Definitely only they may be slides over the head of the myosins, but during the relaxation definitely they moves to back with original length. So that only never this thick and thin filament length is gets changes. This length of the thin and thick filaments always remains the same. Definitely this length of the thin filament is always remains the same. Length of the thin filament is never gets decreases. That simply moves into the A band over the head of the myosins towards the H zone. But during the relaxation, whenever it is moves to back, definitely it is with the original its length. So that only never thin and thick filament length is gets changes during the muscle contraction. In that way, during the muscle contraction, what are the changes which may be occurs in the case of the muscle means I band length is decreases, A band length is remains the same, H zone becomes narrow, H zone becomes narrow, and original length of the thin and thick filaments is remains the same. Again here, very important in NEET examination point of view, what are the intermediate steps between the two successive phases during the muscle contraction is very important. What are that means? After excitation of muscle before the cross bridge formation, after excitation of muscle before the cross bridge formation, what are the steps which are occurs in the head of the myosin means ATP is hydrolyzed into ADP plus PA in the presence of ATPase. Second, conformational changes occurs in the length of the head of myosin. Again, second question, after cross bridge formation before the power stroke, what is the change which is occurs? What are the events which are occurs in the head of the myosin means from the head of the myosin, energy rich phosphorus is releases to the out. Again, after the power stroke before the recovery stroke, what are the events which are occurs in the head of the myosin means ADP is released out from the head of the myosin, new ATP is attaches to the head of the myosin. By that way, cross bridge brokening is taken place. Cross bridge brokening means detachment of the head of the myosin. Detachment of the head of the myosin from active site is said to be as the cross bridge brokening. By that way, head of the myosin is moved to its original position. This entire is said to be as the cross bridge cycle. This all steps are together called as the cross bridge cycle. What is the cross bridge cycle? This entire is nothing but cross bridge cycle. So what does that means? At first, excitation of muscle is occurs. After immediate excitation of muscle, ATP which is present in the head of the myosin is hydrolyzed into ADP plus PI in the presence of ATPase. Later head of the myosin is becomes elongated, that is said to be as the conformational change. Then head of the myosin is attaches to the corresponding active site, that is said to be as the cross bridge formation. After immediate cross bridge formation from the head of the myosin, this energy rich phosphate is releases to the out. By utilizing that energy rich phosphate, this head of the myosin forcefully pull thin filament towards the H zone, that is said to be as the Power stroke. After Power stroke, head of the myosin is bends to back, then from this head of the myosin, ADP is released to the out and new ATP is attached to the head of the myosin. In the presence of the new ATP, head of the myosin is detached from the active site, that is said to be as the cross bridge broadening. After cross bridge broadening, head of the myosin is returned back to its original position, that is said to be as the recovery stroke. This entire information is collectively called as the cross bridge cycle. Definitely, all these steps together called as the cross bridge cycle. Excitation of muscle, ATP hydrolysis into ADP plus PA in the presence of ATPase, conformational change in the head of the myosin, cross bridge formation, release of PI, Power stroke, ADP released to the out from the head of the myosin, new ATP is attached to the head of the myosin, recovery stroke. All these steps in a sequence together called as the cross bridge cycle. This is the recovery stroke. After recovery stroke, last step is the relaxation of muscle. Last step is relaxation of muscle. Definitely, how the muscle is relaxed from its contraction means whenever from the central nervous system this motor information is stopped to the motor neuron, whenever from the central nervous system motor information is stopped to the motor neuron, then from the motor neuron ACH is not released onto the sarcolemma. By that way, on sarcolemma depolarization is not occurs. By that way, this nerve impulse is not conducted to the T tubule and from where into the cisternae. By that way, from the cisternae, calcium plus 2 ions releases gets stopped. Whenever the calcium plus 2 ions are not releases, whenever the calcium plus 2 ions are not attached to the TNC, then TNC moves to forward. Along with the TNC, TNT and trophomyosin is also moves to forward, and this trophomyosin immediately moves to its original position, that is towards the active site. In the absence of the calcium plus 2 ion, TNC moves to forward. Along with the TNC, TNT and trophomyosin also moves to forward. By that way, trophomyosin finally hidden in its original position over the active sites like this. Definitely trophomyosin is again moves to its original position over the active sites. By that way, head of the myosin is not able to connect with the active site to form the cross bridge. By that way, this both the sides of the Z lines forcefully moves to back towards their original positions. Whenever the trophomyosin completely cover the active site forcefully, definitely head of the myosin is not able to combine with active site. By that way, cross bridge formation is not possible. By that way, both the sides of the Z lines are moves away from the H zone towards their original positions, that is said to be as the relaxation of muscle. In that way, in the mechanism of muscle contraction, 5 steps are there in a sequence. Definitely here one more important point. In absence of the nerve information from the central nervous system, whatever the calcium which is present in thin filament, that is also written back into the cisternae. In absence of the motor information from central nervous system, calcium plus 2 ions which are present in the sarcoplasm, calcium plus 2 ions which are present in the thin filament also written back to the cisternae for storing. So that only calcium is not available to the TNC in absence of information from the central nervous system. By that way, this TNC moves to forward along with the TNT and tropomyosin. By that way, tropomyosin completely cover the active site. By that way, head of the myosins are not able to connect with the active site. By that way, both the sides of the Z lines are moved back towards their original position. That is said to be as the relaxation of muscle. This is the muscle contraction. Next to muscle fatigue. Next one is the muscle fatigue. Next one is the muscle fatigue. What is the muscle fatigue means? During the vigorous muscle contraction, during the vigorous muscle exercise, definitely anaerobic respiration is occurs for supplying of ATP to the muscle. Definitely during the vigorous muscle contraction, during the vigorous exercise, our respiratory system is not able to supply enough amount of oxygen to the muscle for oxidation of the glucose. So that only this glucose which is present in the muscle gets oxidized or broken down by anaerobic process during the vigorous exercise. By that way, finally that leads to production of larger amount of lactic acid. Due to the anaerobic brokening of glucose, finally lactic acid is produced in the muscle. Due to the accumulation of the lactic acid in the muscle, this muscle loses its contractile capacity temporarily. That muscle, if it is loses its contractile capability temporarily, that is said to be as the muscle fatigue. If the muscle is unable to get contracted temporarily due to the accumulation of the lactic acid, is said to be as the muscle fatigue. Very important in the NEET examination point of view. What is the acid which is responsible for muscle fatigue? Means that is the lactic acid accumulation is responsible for muscle fatigue. Then how that kind of the lactic acid is removed from the muscle later to regain the contractile capacity? How that kind of the muscle loses this accumulated lactic acid, and how that kind of the muscle gets regain the contractile capacity after some time? Means by the Cori cycle. Definitely Cori cycle is operated in between the muscle and the liver for removal of lactic acid from the muscle, for regaining of the contractile capacity to re-abling of contractile capacity of the muscle. Definitely what is the Cori cycle means? Just assume this is the muscle. This is the muscle. This is nothing but muscle. Definitely in the case of the muscle during the vigorous exercise, this glucose, this is the muscle. Glucose which is present at first undergoes glycolysis. By that way, pyruvic acid gets produced. During that, 2 ATP molecules are generated. Definitely glucose which is present in the muscle is at first gets undergoes the glycolysis. By that way, 2 pyruvic acids or pyruvates are produced. During that, 2 ATPs also gets liberated. Later this pyruvic acid undergoes the anaerobic respiration, but not aerobic. Anaerobic respiration during vigorous muscle contraction. During vigorous exercise, this pyruvic acid undergoes the anaerobic respiration in absence of oxygen. By that way, that leads to formation of the lactic acid. Definitely, whenever to the pyruvic acid oxygen is available to that kind of the lactic acid, whenever to that kind of the pyruvic acid oxygen is not available, definitely that undergoes the anaerobic respiration. Definitely that leads to formation of the lactic acid. Whenever this lactic acid is accumulated in higher amount in the muscle, that must be leads to the muscle fatigue. So definitely this lactic acid or lactate is at first released into bloodstream. From the muscle is at first released into the bloodstream, again through the blood, that is reaches into liver. Definitely through the bloodstream, that is reaches into liver. This is the liver. This is nothing but liver. This part is said to be as the liver here. Definitely through the bloodstream, this lactic acid, that is the lactate, is reaches into the liver. Again in liver, that will be gets transferred into glucose by a process that is said to be as the glycogenolysis. Gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. Definitely lactic acid gets converted into glucose inside of the liver by a process that is said to be as the gluconeogenesis. Gluconeogenesis. What is the meaning of the gluconeogenesis? Process of the synthesis of the glucose from non-carbohydrate substances is said to be as the gluconeogenesis. Lactic acid is the non-carbohydrate substance. If it can be gets converted into glucose, then that process is said to be as the gluconeogenesis. During that, definitely 6 ATP molecules. 6 ATP molecules are required for getting the converting of single lactic acid into single glucose. Later, if glucose is immediately required to the muscle, this glucose gets again releases into bloodstream, again through the bloodstream, that is again reaches into the muscle for its immediate utilization. Otherwise, if this glucose is not required to the muscle immediately, this glucose gets reserved in liver as the glycogen for the further usage. In that way, whatever the lactic acid which is produced in the muscle, that will be converted into glucose in the liver. In that way, between the muscle and the liver, if this kind of the cycle is going on for conversion of the lactic acid into the glucose, then that cycle is said to be as the Cori cycle. Definitely Cori cycle is occurs between the muscle and the liver. Due to the Cori cycle only, lactic acid which is formed in the muscle due to the anaerobic respiration, that is from time to time gets removed, and by that way only muscle is again or regain contractile capacity. Here very important question is that what is the ratio of generated and utilized ATPs in Cori cycle? Very important question in the NEET examination point of view. What is the important question in the on this particular Cori cycle concept means the ratio of generation and utilization of ATP molecules in Cori cycle. The ratio of generation and utilization of ATP molecules in Cori cycle, that is the 1:3. Because during the Cori cycle, how many number of the ATPs are generated? Only 2. While converting glucose into pyruvic acid, only 2 ATPs are generated. But how many number of the ATPs are utilized for conversion of 1 lactic acid into glucose? Means 6 ATPs are gets utilized for conversion of the lactic acid into glucose. So that only utilized ATPs are 6, generated ATPs are 2. The ratio is the 1:3. Or utilized ATPs are 6, generated ATPs are 2. 2 ATPs are generated, 6 ATPs are utilized. So that only that ratio is 1:3. This is the Cori cycle. Next, what are the differences between the white and red muscle fibers? Definitely, 2 types of the muscle fibers are very commonly appears in our body. What are the 2 type of the muscle fibers which are present in our body? Means principle in the muscle. What is the pigment which is present to provide the color to that kind of the muscle? Means myoglobin. So that is the myoglobin or muscle hemoglobin is the red colored pigment which provide the red color to the muscle. Depending upon the amount of the myoglobin, these muscles or muscle fibers principally categorized into 2 types. Depending upon the amount of the myoglobin, this muscle fibers are principally categorized into 2 types. What are they? Means one is the red muscle fiber, second one is the white muscle fiber. Then what are the differences? Means name of character. To betterly explain this red and white muscle fiber, we have to compare this red and white muscle fiber to easily understand their characters. First one is the red muscle fiber, second one is the white muscle fiber. White muscle fiber. So first character, amount of myoglobin. Whether myoglobin is abundant or not is the first character. In the red muscle fiber, myoglobin is abundant. Due to that only they are red in color. Definitely myoglobin is abundant. Due to that reason they are look like as the dark red in color. But why these muscle fibers are look like as the white in color? Means myoglobin is very less in amount in them. Definitely myoglobin is less in amount. Due to the less amount of the myoglobin, these muscle fibers are look like as the white in color. Second one, sarcosomes means mitochondria. Definitely in the red muscle fiber they also abundant They are more and more in number in the case of the red muscle fiber, but here in the case of the white muscle fiber they are few in number. Definitely in the case of the white muscle fiber, sarcosomes or the mitochondria are very few in number. Mode of oxidation, because of due to the presence of more and more number of the mitochondria, aerobic respiration is very common in the case of the red muscle fiber. Definitely aerobic respiration is very commonly appears in the case of the red muscle fiber. So that only these are also called as the aerobic fibers. These are the aerobic fibers. Because in the case of the red muscle fiber, due to the presence of the abundant mitochondria, always aerobic respiration is taken place. So that only they are said to be as the aerobic fibers. In white muscle fibers, always anaerobic respiration. Anaerobic respiration is only occurs, so that only white muscle fibers are said to be as the anaerobic fibers. In the case of the white muscle fibers, very few number of the mitochondria are present, so that only always anaerobic respiration is taken place in them for brokening of the glucose. So that only they are said to be as the anaerobic fibers. Again, amount of sarcoplasm. Definitely in the case of the red muscle fiber, sarcoplasm is less in amount. Little amount of the sarcoplasm is present in the case of the red muscle fiber, but in white muscle fiber, higher amount of sarcoplasm is present in the case of the white muscle fiber. Sarcoplasmic reticulum, amount of sarcoplasmic reticulum is less in amount in the case of the red muscle fiber, higher in amount in the case of the white muscle fiber. Next, definitely this mode of contraction, red muscle fibers undergoes the contraction fastly with less intensity. Fast contraction with low intensity. With low intensity, this red muscle fibers are contracted very fastly, but white muscle fibers undergo slow contraction. With high intensity. This white muscle fibers are contracted very slowly. So definitely, what are the principal differences between the red and white muscle fiber means? In red muscle fiber, myoglobin is abundant, so that only they are look like as the dark red in color, whereas in the white muscle fiber, less amount of the myoglobin is present, so that only they are pale white in color. Again, mitochondria is also more in number in the case of the red muscle fiber, but in the white muscle fiber they are very few in number. Again in the red muscle fiber, always aerobic respiration is occurs. So that only red muscle fibers are said to be as the aerobic fibers. But in the white muscle fiber, always anaerobic respiration is taken place for the brokening of the glucose. So that only white muscle fibers are said to be as the anaerobic fiber. Again in the case of the red muscle fiber, amount of the sarcoplasm and sarcoplasmic reticulum, both of them are less in amount. But in the case of the white muscle fiber, sarcoplasm and sarcoplasmic reticulum is also higher in amount. Then what is the mode of the contraction means? Red muscle fibers fastly gets contracted with low force, that is the low intensity, but white muscle fibers are contracted with slowly with high force or the high intensity. These are the differences between the white and red muscle fiber.